Welcome to the Driveway Beers Podcast. Conversations you have in your driveway over a beer with your friends and neighbors. All right. Welcome back to another show. Thank you for coming back. As always, head on over to drivewaybeerspodcast.com. Go ahead and click on private internet access, the link that we have there. We do earn a little commission if you go over there and pick up one of their great deals on a VPN. Protect your credit card information. Protect your identity online as best you can with a virtual private network from private internet access. One thing everyone's probably feeling right now are gas prices at the pump. And my own personal experience, we drive a Ford Edge. And went to go fill it up the other day. And it was pretty low. It was below an eighth of a tank. Like we were running on fumes a little bit, you know.
So your wife was driving it last.
Yes. And I got in. I was like, well, "You need gas." So we go in there. I fill it up. Just go to the regular Exxon station. I think gas price was like $4.85, $4.90, whatever it was. It was $80 to fill up my mid-size SUV with a V6.
Yeah, which essentially the mid-size SUV is now the family sedan of, you know, when we were kids.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're filling up a Suburban.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. The price, the total price you pay, has a lot to do with the gas tank size you have, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we got like a 15-gallon tank.
Yeah.
But even in my other car, you know, the Equinox, which you've talked about, it's got an 11-gallon tank. I mean, $55 to fill that up?
Oh yeah.
You gotta be kidding me with this.
Yeah. No, I putting $70 in a Ford Fusion is that's always fun. So, yeah, it's putting a squeeze on a lot of people, and you know, as everyone knows, everything we get, everything we consume, every service we use, it all comes here via truck. So unless you live right next door to the factory where something was made, and even if you live right next door to the factory where something was made, chances are everything in your house got to you via truck, which means it goes using diesel. So, and let's not get into the cost of producing things, which also takes fuel and energy as well. So that price also goes up too. And so I think everyone's feeling, unless you're like uber rich, you're feeling the pinch. And it's definitely, as the pundits like to say, a kitchen table issue. But I think it's important to look at, you know, because everyone likes to blame the president for stuff like this, and because I don't particularly care for this president, I'll blame him for it. But is that quite fair? But you know, I've always said economy is kind of like the ocean. I don't think the president has, or the government has, complete control over it. But where they do, you know, where the captain of a ship controls the ship, he can kind of control how it affects the ship when it gets into bad weather. So do you keep the bow pointing to the waves and ride the storm out, or do you do something stupid and you're taking, you know, now you're listing and you're taking waves over the side? So I think that's where kind of the politics comes into it. But, you know, now some people might want to blame him completely. I'm okay with that. And then there are others who want to give him a pass. And then, you know, just some of the things that are coming out of the White House regarding this are just, quite frankly, stupid. Some of the things that we are being told, you know, it's insulting to everyone's intelligence. There's a tweet recently where the president said that gas station owners need to lower their prices, stop gouging people, and you know, we'll get into that too. Where what does the gas station owner make on a gallon of gas? You know, it's not much,
right?
So,
yeah, there's so many aspects that are going into this, and it's not just with the gas that we're putting in our cars. I mean, there's also a diesel issue. So I don't know how many episodes, it was a long time ago, we talked about gas prices when they went up, during the COVID stuff.
No, I think, well, it was when that ransomware attack shut down that big pipeline on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And those dum-dums were filling like Tupperware containers full and plastic bags full of gas.
Bags of them, right? Yeah.
Then doubled down on it.
It's double bagged. It's fine. It's not the good Tupperware.
Right.
They're using the old Tupperware for this gas.
The kiddie pool in the back of a pickup truck full of gas.
That was great.
What could go wrong?
I mean, yeah. There's a lot of not bright people out there, but that's a different episode.
They're good. Hey, they're great for podcasts.
They're awesome. They're great for us. So with the diesel fuel, or I guess let's start with gas. So when we talked about the gas prices back then, one of the major things we talked about was there was a trucker shortage.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of truckers, when no one was moving around, there wasn't as much gas needed, so they ran fewer trucks. And they laid off truckers. Or truckers just left.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, okay, I can retire now. Like,
yeah.
The age of truckers overall is not young.
Yeah.
It's not really a profession a lot of young people go into, whether it's because it's just not brought to their attention that it exists and can be used. You can go make some money doing that, or whatever the reason is. There's just not a lot of people replacing the people retiring. And if they leave and they let their license expire, it's not like you can just bring them back because they need a hazmat license.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's gasoline and stuff lights on fire. So right now, there is still a trucker shortage. But it's not just the trucks, though. There's, at least with the diesel consumption, and the CEO of Pilot Flying J kind of brought this out when he testified at the Transportation Surface Board with the government. And he essentially said that Union Pacific was requiring him to cut his shipments by, I believe it was 20%, and his diesel exhaust fuel, the DEF fluid, by 30%.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason that they were citing was that they lost a lot of rail workers. So they couldn't run as many trains, which means they couldn't get him as much as he needed. Which was so he had to raise prices because he wasn't getting as much to sell. I think it was like one rail container was like 21,000 gallons.
Yeah, they probably use
diesel.
The big bulk. And for anyone that doesn't know, like, Pilot Flying J is enormous.
Yep.
If you're just a regular, I guess for lack of a better term, civilian driver, you might not really recognize it. They operate a lot of big truck stops, and they have fleet cards. So, like, these big trucking companies will utilize the Pilot Flying J truck stops, and they have so it's the trucks, it's the fuel as well as the other things that go along. So showers for the truckers, sometimes hotels, maintenance, all the probably lot lizards too.
Sure.
all the stuff that goes with a truck stop all falls under that thing. So if you live in a suburban area, you're not going to see that. But once you start getting out, traveling out west or to the south, you'll see huge truck stops, Pilot Flying J, and that's it's two different, I guess, brands that merged, and
yeah. There's TA,
mm-hmm.
and there's also Love's.
Yeah,
those are the big three.
Yeah, and when you see them, they're whenever you're driving, you'll see like the enormous sign on the it seems it's like 150 feet tall with the
yeah.
But you go in, they have decent food, and you can get accessories for your truck if you want to like chrome it out, a bunch of bling. So
parking lot bling.
Yeah. Yep. But and DEF is a huge every diesel engine manufactured after 2010 needs to have this. It's called diesel engine fluid, and it's a ureic acid, it's essentially piss, that, for lack of a better term, that enables these engines to run. And I guess you replace it every time you get an oil change, they top it off. So it's not something that needs to be replaced. You don't fill it up every time you fill your tank up, but every 3,000 miles or whatever your maintenance interval is, you need to fill it up. Now, a big semi-truck is doing 3,000 miles in a week.
Right.
So it's going to need to replace it once a week. And if it's not there, the engines can't run.
Yeah, the engine physically won't run.
Yeah.
Like, it won't start. Now, the older trucks can.
Right.
But how many of those are left on the road right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like, to run this new ultra-low sulfur diesel, which is the new requirement, everyone needs to have this fluid in the engine, so in the system. So if it's not there, the engines don't run. And it even goes into, your heavy-duty pickup truck. So if you have a F-250 or if you have and then even smaller vehicles. So if you've got a Rabbit diesel, you need, I don't think they make Rabbits anymore. Was it the Golf diesel?
What was it, Golf, Jetta? Yeah. Even Passats were diesels for a while.
Yeah, they need that fuel in them to or that fluid to operate. So it's a big deal. But yeah, the fuel industry itself is, politicians like to vilify and to a certain extent I get it, but all that doesn't solve the problem though.
They have to blame somebody.
Yeah.
Because it's not their fault.
Of course not.
No.
Yeah, they didn't read Extreme Ownership, apparently.
No.
So, but yeah, so they have to point the finger. So they point the finger at gas station owners, which was just ridiculous on its face. They point the finger at the White House press secretary. It's the official line of the current regime they like to blame the Putin price hike.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous. It probably contributes, but it's still ridiculous. And then the fossil fuel industry, because they're gouging everybody. But the market set the prices, not the...
Right. A barrel of oil is traded. It's a traded commodity.
Yep.
It's not set by the companies. In fact, oil just dropped. I think it was a couple dollars per barrel today. Actually, the prices are starting to come down. Mm-hmm. So the same issue that's occurring with Pilot Flying J and the deliveries of diesel are probably the same as regular gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the stuff gets moved by rail to the holding tanks. After the refineries refine it, it's usually put on a train and sent to basically the holding tanks, where the trucks can take it from the holding tanks to the regional gas stations. But if you don't have enough trains to run it where it needs to go, well, that's when you have a shortage. You have an artificial shortage because of a labor shortage.
Yeah.
So it's not that the refineries can't produce enough gasoline or that they can't produce enough diesel. It's the fact they can't get it to where it needs to go. And this is that same point we kind of made about the gas shortage last time, where the gas prices went up last year, or when that Colonial Pipeline thing hit. It wasn't from that. It was from the fact that there just weren't enough truck drivers after people started getting in their cars again.
Mm-hmm.
That they had let all those people go, and they couldn't bring them back, or they wouldn't come back, and they couldn't hire fast enough, so they couldn't get the gas out. Well, eventually they hired people. They were able to get gas out. Gas prices went back down a little bit, but then, oh wait, let's start another war.
Yeah.
Or let's get involved with someone else's war. And we're going to use that as a backdrop as to why we can't get gas prices lower, even though the real cause is because you have an industry that hasn't been able to hire fast enough in the rail industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's the war in the sanctions against the Russians. Fuel is a globally traded commodity, so something that happens on the other side of the world affects the global market. So 40% of the fuel that was consumed in Europe was what came from Russia. So then we're going to go and cut that off, which, but the Russians they're just selling it to the Indians now. They're selling it to India. They're selling it to China. And then they said, okay, you have to pay in rubles So
I think they all told him to go pound sand with that, though.
But yeah, so there's that going on. But all of this stuff could be fixed. It's not, especially on the supply side. Like if you look at, we haven't built a refinery of significant capacity in the United States. So I think it was like 1973. Like it's ridiculous. We've been using the same refineries since that time, and I think that big one was down in it's somewhere down the Gulf Coast somewhere.
Louisiana, probably.
Yeah, I believe it is Louisiana that they built a huge refinery. But that's why when a hurricane comes, fuel prices go up, because if it knocks that refinery out, then you got all the crude, but you can't turn it into anything.
Yeah, you also got the oil rigs out the Gulf that kind of take one of them out.
Yeah, and the thing is, crude oil coming out is not good for anything. It needs to be refined into something. And if you take a barrel of crude, you end up with I just kind of call it the big three that's really going to affect everyone, which is gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. That's kind of what is going to touch the majority of people's lives. And then in diesel, you also have like heating oil, because home heating oil and diesel are pretty much the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. So a barrel of oil will yield 19.5 gallons of gasoline, 9.2 gallons of diesel, and 4.1 gallons of jet fuel. So Jet A is what most airliners are using. So the total value of that's $177 per barrel. That's on what it sells for retail. Mm. And the price of a barrel of oil right now is $108.
Right.
So now there's other things that come out of it, like heavy oils that they use like ships burn it. Power plants will burn it. Natural gas. There's some natural gas in a barrel of oil. There's other products that come out of it, like Plastics. Yep.
Big one.
Lipstick. Mm-hmm. So
a lot of people don't want to know what goes in their beauty products.
So there's a bunch of things that come out of it, and actually, when you add it all up, the yield is a barrel of oil is 42 gallons. But you actually, if you add the total volume up, you actually get more. But that's a gain through process, so it takes on water.
Right.
So you get more.
Well, gasoline they add ethanol.
Yeah.
Too. So you're adding some corn mash in there,
But and the thing is, all of these things are traded on the futures market, which are just people speculating that the price is going to go higher. So you can trade on gas futures only, just gasoline, or you could go on the crude futures or whatever you want to do it. So you're buying it now, hoping that the price of it goes up. I've always said a simple solution is that if you buy all of it, you have to take physical possession of it.
Right.
So if you're speculating on pork belly futures, I hope you have a big freezer,
right?
Because you're about to buy yourself a bunch of pork belly. I don't think that would really fit in well among the Wall Street set.
I don't think you're gonna win that one.
No, I think it would be funny though. Watching a bunch of finance bros try to find a place to put a couple 100,000 barrels of oil.
They'll go buy a shipping container, go store it in someone's yard. That's
probably
not theirs.
Yeah, probably mine.
Right. Hey, you're not using it.
Right.
We're gonna use this.
But the one thing about that is, so what are they hedging their bet on? They're hedging, they're betting that, and I think it was it's a guy from he's Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. Kevin
something.
Yeah. So he said, just say you're going to increase capacity. It's a futures market. If you go and say we're going to open up a pipeline or increase refining capacity or increase drilling domestically, well, those people who are betting on the price going up are going to stop betting on the price going up, because in the future it's going to go down based on that change in policy.
Problem is, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't tweet out we're going to increase capacity, but then not increase capacity, because then you're messing with the market.
Yeah.
And that's illegal.
Yeah, but they should increase capacity.
But here's the problem, though. I don't think it's capacity. I think it's the transportation issue. Like, if it's what the pilot flying J CEO said, and Union Pacific is basically the bottleneck is at Union Pacific, and that they can't. Let's say they just can't run an extra train. Well, that extra train has 40 to 50 cars on it.
Well, they were also working on a pipeline.
Well, that too.
That they just arbitrarily canceled.
Shocking.
Because it didn't fit along. I think that Warren Buffett was greasing the wheels on that one.
Because
he owns Norfolk Southern. Trains. Yeah. And what do pipelines take business away from?
Right.
Trains.
Well, no, and if you want to go a little further down that rabbit hole. So
I like rabbit holes.
So you've got BlackRock and Vanguard. Mm-hmm. And Warren Buffett, as a shareholder in both of those companies, have large investments in electric vehicle and electric truck manufacturing. And what better way to strangle out the truck drivers and the diesel trucks out there than to have some of your autonomous electric trucks, semi-trucks. All of a sudden there's going to be a big demand for it now. Because, well, we can't get these diesel trucks running because we don't have the fuel and we don't have the DEF fluid. But I got these electric trucks that are autonomous. You don't even need drivers for them.
Yeah.
And they don't need gas.
They just zip around on their own.
They just zip around. They just get stuff to where you need it to go. Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but it sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Hey, where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Yeah. And I throughout the last 2-3 years, I always said, look, I hope there aren't people pulling strings just to get rich and wealthy.
Oh, there are definitely people pulling strings.
But it's been happening for centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we say? During the COVID situation, there was the greatest transfer of wealth in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Because the other greatest transfer of wealth happened from the wealthy to the not wealthy in like the 5 years prior to that. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the spigot got turned the other way.
Yep.
And, maybe that was done. I'm not saying it was done completely on purpose, but maybe someone took advantage of some situations.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, one of the Weinsteins, I think it was either Eric or Brett, I forget which one, said it's a confluence of, and then people just taking advantage of it.
Right.
So no one set it all in motion.
Well, that's why I've been telling people, if we're going to head into this recession, like people are saying, if we ended up there, I've been telling people, look, if you remember anything from 2007, 2008, when the housing market collapsed, if we go into a recession, prices will go down on certain things. It would be a really good time to have cash, because people who had cash in 2007 and 2008 snapped up some real cheap assets.
Oh, yeah.
And if they sold them in the past year or two, they made a heck of a ton of money on them.
Yeah.
Or if they just held on to them and rented them out and basically choked out the market. I mean, the housing market, even as high as prices went, supply was really not there.
Yeah.
Maybe there's, and again, guess who owns a whole lot of real estate?
BlackRock and
Vanguard.
Yeah.
Shocking. These two names keep popping up.
Yeah.
And BlackRock, they bought up a ton of properties when they were cheap in 07, 08. And they've been buying ever since. And they've been renting those properties out. They're not putting them back on the market.
Yeah.
And look, some people say, look, that's just good strategy, right? But that's a real big corporation messing with the ordinary American's ability to buy a home because they drove the prices sky high.
Yeah.
And they can eat an extra 20 to 50 grand on a house. Because they're not paying the interest.
Yeah.
They're paying with cash.
Yep.
And just by sitting on it and renting it out, they're making money hand over fist on it. And look, I'm not saying it's not a smart investment, but I'm also saying, look, if you're an individual right now, and you were able to save up some money during COVID, which a lot of people were because they weren't out traveling, they weren't out doing a lot of stuff. They got some extra money in the bank. Hang on to it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look, if we go into this recession, and if we don't, look, you still got it in the bank. But if we go into this recession in the next year or two, and you have that cash ready to go, you might be able to pick yourself up some bargains.
Yeah.
And do what the rich people do.
Mm-hmm.
They buy when it's down, sell when it's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, but if they don't take care of the issue with the rail and get more people working on the rail so that they can run more trains, I don't really see that prices can go down all that much because the capacity's there. I mean, they've got the fuels there. Mm-hmm. They just can't get them anywhere.
And now that, prices have gone so high, people are going to be driving less. So, eventually that's going to be a negative pressure on the price. As well, or maybe a stabilizing factor. Like, you can only charge so much for it before people say, "Hey, I'm just not making that drive," or "I'm not making that flight," or "I'm not buying that big truck because I don't feel like putting gas in it."
We're taking one trip in the RV this summer.
Mm-hmm.
I already know I'm going to pay out the nose for gas on that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking, it's probably over a 50-gallon tank.
Right.
I mean, I'm looking at least like a 250 fill-up.
Right.
And that'll get me there and back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm probably not driving it too much after that.
Right.
Until prices can come back down.
Well, I bought a gallon of gas for my lawnmower a couple weeks ago. So that's my investment, is that 1 gallon of gas. Because I think I paid like $4.50 for it.
Yeah, stretched out.
Yeah.
You need at least 3 mows out of that.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Well, I pay the kid next door to mow the lawn. So I still have the gas.
So he's using your lawnmower?
No. So he hadn't mowed the lawn for a while. Uh-huh. He was busy. So I was like, man, this lawn's starting to look pretty bad here. I'm going to have to do this myself. Well, I didn't have any gas. Mm-hmm. So I went and I took my gas can out and I bought a gallon of gas. But if the price goes up high, then I'll sell that gallon of gas to somebody else.
See, you're doing what you're telling them to do. You're storing your commodity.
I am.
Yes.
My gasoline futures.
That's right.
My 1 gallon of gasoline futures. If I can do it, the Wall Street guys can do it.
That's right. You hold on to that long enough, put a kid through college.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, listen, why did you mow the lawn? You got a kid?
He's not old enough to mow the lawn yet.
Stop. He can push the lawnmower.
I mean, but then there's the whole other part of it, which is like, he's kind of skinny, so he's going to have trouble like pushing up the hill. And then his brothers are going to want to go out there. I don't need a 4-year-old out there with the lawnmower.
Then someone's losing a finger.
Yeah. Or they're going to fight.
Right.
And someone's going to lose a finger. Best case scenario, it's fighting. Worst case scenario, it's fighting and loss of limbs. Right. So, and they would figure it out.
Right.
They'll figure out a way to do it.
Right.
So, but at some point I need to get him doing it. I hate doing it. So,
well, you do have, I mean, eventually the kid next door is going to go off to college somewhere.
True.
And then maybe your oldest can take over his business.
Yeah.
Unless his younger brother takes over his business.
I don't think so.
Then I didn't do it.
No, I think, but I didn't know if my lawnmower was going to start. Even
it's been what, 2 years
at least.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, so I bought starter fluid for it too.
Oh no!
So I was going to spray some. Now my lawnmower is a 4-stroke. It's not a 2-stroke. I was going to spray some starter fluid in that carburetor and see what would happen.
That's I mean, I won't let my kids mow the lawn just because I like riding. I've got my ride-on mower, and I like it. I like riding it.
Well, yeah, and it also gives you 30 minutes away from the kids.
So. Well, I put those earmuffs on.
Mm-hmm.
I get the nice hum.
Yep.
From the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Vibrates my butt. Feels nice. I do my circles. because my lawn's weird. It's like a triangle shape
Yeah.
on that side, so I gotta mow it in a triangle.
So I don't mind just mowing the lawn. I hate all the stuff that goes with it.
Oh, I hate trimming.
Yeah, the trimming I hate. I really hate doing the hedges. I hate that.
I have a guy.
I hate blowing the grass clippings off of the sidewalk.
I don't blow anything.
Yeah.
No, I don't do that.
I hate doing all that stuff.
I don't like any of that.
Yeah. I should probably just live in a condo in the city.
Real, honestly. I'll tell you what, if there was like a 2,000 square foot condo and I had a downsize like 500 square feet, that'd be a real tempting offer.
Yeah.
Because 2,000 square foot condo, you can make do. That's enough square. I mean, you can have like your wing.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I go to my mother's place. She got a 3-bedroom condo. It's like 1,800 square feet.
Okay.
Her bedroom and bathroom, her ensuite, if you will, if you're Canadian,
Yeah.
takes up like a good quarter of the place.
Okay.
Then she's got her family room. Her dining room's attached, and then she got a huge kitchen.
Yep.
Then she got the 2 bedrooms
On the other side.
On the other side with another bathroom and a
Yeah.
laundry. Look, I'm not saying it's a perfect setup, but I think hers is about 1,800 square feet.
Yeah.
I could make that work.
Oh yeah, go for it.
However, there would be no place for me to escape. Here I've got like the layout. I got a basement.
Right.
I can come to this basement. Like today, like there was some shouting going on in this house. Like it's starting. Like the 3 ladies are starting to go at it a little bit.
Yeah.
More than I would like. And so today I was like, you know what? Today is not the day where I can have this in my ears. So I went to the basement and I was like, I'm gonna shut the world out.
Yeah. No, not a bad call. So yeah, that's not a bad idea at all.
I am worried about the gas prices though, especially with that motorhome. I do think we're going to start seeing parts of the recession come through, though. Whether that'll push the prices down, I don't know on gas.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know if that's the issue. It's not. It's getting it to the pumps. It's getting it to the truck stops. You know, for me, like, I mean, I've got a gas RV, so I don't have to worry about diesel or the exhaust fluid or anything like that. But even regular gas is just going to cost me a ton of money.
Yeah. Well, I was then another thing, like people that have boats. Like I was talking to a friend of mine with a boat. Hey, you take the boat out? He's like, nah, man. I got a 150-gallon tank on that thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not spending that kind of coin to fill that thing up.
Never mind the fact the gas stations on the water are more expensive anyway.
$6 a gallon.
Yeah.
So, and his boat's too big to trailer out and you know, take it somewhere. And then what are you going to bring? 15 10-gallon gas cans out to it.
Right.
You know? So yeah, that's going to hurt it. And some of the costs for, like, you want to take a fishing charter on the bay, all those boats are diesels. So now you're looking at $7 a gallon on the water for diesel. So, you know, the cost of those charters have gone. I love going on a rockfish charter or something, but, you know, the cost of it, I can't justify spending that kind of money to bring 2 fish home.
Yeah. And there's another aspect of this, because don't forget, tractors run on diesel.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's 2 aspects here, and I don't know if I'm going to be really good at kind of getting to the point on this. So we were talking about the diesel exhaust fluid, which is the DEF fluid, which is the urea.
Yeah.
Which they use in fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's going to be a fertilizer shortage.
Yeah.
Because, again, they can't ship it.
Yeah.
But if there's also the diesel fluid and or the diesel gas shortage, if farmers don't get it along with the DEF fluid, then their tractors don't start.
Yep.
But again, if they also don't have fertilizer,
I don't know if tractors have to run on. I don't know if tractors.
They're diesel. The big ones, those big farms.
Yeah, but do they? I don't know if they have to run on that
Oh, the exhaust fluid?
Yeah.
Well, even so, okay, so let's just say
But
you're
yeah,
going to run into the issue with fertilizer, though.
Yeah.
Because urea is a major ingredient in fertilizer.
yeah. And then I think some genius in the district went and said that they need to, like, oh, we'll just increase the amount of ethanol. Well, it takes diesel fuel to produce corn ethanol.
Yeah.
So really the trade-off isn't, you're not going to see any benefit from that.
Well, and not every car can run on anything over
E85.
No. So E85 means 85% ethanol.
Okay.
Most cars can run on only like 10 to 15%
Right.
ethanol, unless you see like one of those flex fuel vehicles. Mm-hmm. And mostly it was only GM and Ford that were making them
For fleet sales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, there were some general sales that they put out there
Yeah.
too, but not a lot of cars can run on that stuff.
And it's not as powerful as no,
you lose a lot of combustion power when you're using ethanol. Yeah, it's not a very efficient fuel.
Yeah.
I don't believe. So there's been people that have been saying, look, later on this summer and into the fall, there could be food shortages.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like COVID food shortages where people were running out to get toilet paper because they thought they were going to shit themselves 8 times a day.
Yeah.
This is going to be legitimate. There's no food to get to the store, or there's going to be very limited quantities of food to get to the store.
Yeah.
And that's mostly due from fertilizer crops. So you're thinking like wheat, so bread. It may not affect meat as much, but meat already kind of had their issue because they had the COVID shutdowns with the staff.
Well, and that's what is so irritating about all this, so angering. What angers me is that this is all the result of bad government policy when it came to the response to COVID, when the economy was put in an artificial coma, and then they kept doubling down on it, and they're still doing it.
Yeah.
And now when I see people running around with the mask on, I'm like, oh, you're the true believers. Like you bought into it.
Oh yeah.
But they continue to do it without regard to the damage it was causing, and now we're in this because it just doesn't. It's not a light switch. You can't just turn it back on again. And they just kept doubling down, without really thinking, hey, at some point, not everyone can work from home. At some point, someone has to get in the truck. Someone has to grow the food and then put it in a truck and then drive it to someplace.
Right.
So that someone can show up with their 14 masks on and sanitize the world in their bubble wrap and get it.
Yeah.
And then go back to their Zoom meeting and their OnlyFans account.
Right.
So that was the real winners of COVID.
Oh,
was all the people on OnlyFans.
And then they try to get it conscious.
Yeah. Oh, we're not doing porn anymore. Yeah. Like what? Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, it only drove your valuation up.
Yeah.
Because of the amount of money you were bringing in.
Yeah.
Now it's awful.
Yeah.
It's like Twitch in the hot tub girls.
Yeah.
They try to ban them too. Now no one's watching Twitch. People really weren't into watching video games being played.
Right. Who wants to watch a bunch of greasy, fat nerds playing games? No, it's for the pseudo porn. It's for the softcore porn.
It's like, sorry, guy, it wasn't your intellectually stimulating conversation while you shot people in a video game that brought me here.
It was the boobs.
It was boobs in a hot tub. And oh, by the way, I caught yours too. I caught your video game playing as well.
Yeah,
that's what got me there.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, look, if you go on YouTube, what videos do people click on?
Yeah,
it's the ones with the good-looking girl on the thumbnail.
Yeah,
no one's clicking on our videos with our red and gray theme,
the barber pole.
Yeah, right.
Maybe we need a girl with boobs.
Listen, okay. As an experiment, I think if I Photoshop like some random like I don't want to like just some girl with her bun sticking out or something like that. If I put that on our thumbnail, our views would go from 6 to 30.
Oh yeah,
and it could be the worst topic ever.
Oh yeah, maybe this one.
Right. But, yeah, I mean, that's what people click on. They're not clicking on the the dude with a neck beard
Right.
who's got a real hot take on Elden Ring. I'm sorry, man. No one's people just happen to stumble upon you because they misclicked the girl in the hot tub,
Right.
and her bikini on.
Yeah. They're not trying to sit around you watching you play the video game version of Goblin Quest.
It's not your great content you're putting out. I've got a community. Yay!
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
You don't. It's accidental. Completely.
It's bots.
Yeah.
It's all bots.
Russian bots.
Russian misinformation.
But that's the thing. Like when you do artificially just put it into a coma and then want everything to come roaring back into, and there was a spike, but that was just like, I think that was just if you pinch off a hose and you let the hose go, it's just running under real pressure. But some of that pressure builds up under it. You get that big shot of water coming out, and then eventually just gives back to normal.
It was funny. So Jimmy Carter's one of Jimmy Carter's aides or advisors back when he was in the White House, he's actually now urging the Biden administration to not go back to the Build Back Better plan that they had.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're still trying to push forward.
Oh, they want to spend more money.
Yeah, some version of it. Yeah, they're going to try and pump more money into the economy. And this guy and Carter, I mean, there was the inflationary period from I think it was like 77 to 83.
Yeah,
or 77 to 82, something like that. So right when Carter was president, so this guy who's literally been there before,
yeah,
is saying don't do it. He's essentially saying reduce the federal deficit. So basically, not that you budget in a surplus is what he's saying,
mm-hmm.
but don't pump more money out to people because it's just going to it's going to elongate the problems of a recession.
Yeah.
So basically, you're going to create inflation rather than allowing the proper lineage of this economy to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, we haven't seen it in a while, but essentially every 7 years the economy flips.
Yeah.
So every 7 years you have a peak and a valley.
Mm-hmm.
And so essentially you go about 14 years between really good economic times and 14 years between bad economic times.
Yeah.
It's got something to do with like the Fibonacci numbers and whatnot, and,
Mm-hmm.
and like economists know these
Probably
things.
the Aztec calendar.
Sure, it's something weird like that. It's crazy how the number 7 plays into this.
Yeah.
But essentially every 7 years you get the peak and the valley.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, so after 2007 we really didn't get too much of a valley in 2014.
Yeah.
Well, this is 2021. This is the next 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So in 7 it went down, and it kept going up and up and up and up and up and up and up because that recession was so bad.
Yeah.
So even when we had like kind of a stagnant economy in 14,
Mm-hmm.
well, then we started a trajectory back down,
Yeah.
and now we're in 2021. This is another 7th year.
Mm-hmm.
And so this might be when we kind of hit bottom
Yeah.
in a recession, or we start the recession. But then it'll start working its way back up, and 2028 will come back around, and maybe that's when we hit a peak.
Yeah.
But there are things that they can do to delay it.
Yeah.
And like back in 07, they had the stimulus plans then, and yeah, there was probably some delay there, but I feel like, and I don't think the Obama administration got enough credit for this, but they slow rolled the recovery. They could have pumped a lot more money into the economy to kind of boost it back up.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job by letting a lot of stuff shake out, though. Like they made the peaks and valleys less than what they could have been.
Right.
And they kind of let it just steadily do what it needed to do. And I think growth was only like 3%. It was real low, and I remember the Republicans would hammer them and hammer and hammer them. And I kept saying, no, this isn't what you should be hammering them on, because this is what we need right now.
Yeah.
Because if you spike back up, you're going to come back down hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm worried that that's what's going to happen this time around.
Yeah.
If they put more of that Build Back Better money in, or whatever it's called, and they give more people money and more unemployment benefits, and
but you still have the people on that side beating the drum for universal basic income and $92 an hour minimum wage and free this and free that, and it's like you can't just blow cash into an economy with a limited. It's just going to chase around a limited number of goods. The inflation's going to continue to get. Prices are going to continue to rise.
It's because they have the idealistic view of it.
Yeah.
The idealistic view of universal basic income is that people will get their $1,500 a month, and they'll use it to pay their mortgage, or they'll save it, right? Mm-hmm. And all that happens is that people go and they spend it.
Oh yeah.
And that rate and that leads to inflation.
Yep.
And that's the real world consequences are inflation, when you just pump money out to people.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to spend it. It's right now why repos are at the highest rate they've been in 3 years. Because when people got that stimulus money on top of the tax returns, they went out and bought cars last year. Well, now they can't afford those cars.
Yeah.
Because the stimulus money's running out.
Yeah.
They're not getting their stimmy checks.
Mm-hmm.
They're Biden stimmies.
Yeah.
They're not getting those anymore.
Yep.
So I can't afford the car payment.
Yeah.
Evictions, mortgages, their foreclosures are going to go up.
Well, I heard the average new car payment is over $600 right now.
Yeah.
And the average used car payment is over $500. It's like, that's insane. And these aren't like 3-year loans people are getting.
Right.
These are like, I mean, you can take a car payment out for 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
But some of these cars are so expensive that the only way they're going to sell the numbers of them that they can build is by financing them for 8 years.
Well, I mean, a new Chevy Silverado is like $60,000.
I know,
and that's not even for the high end one.
Yeah, no, that's like a decent one.
An LT,
yeah,
an LT2,
yeah,
whatever. But there's a guy on YouTube that I watched that's in the car industry, and he's out in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So he went out to the local dealer auction and just showed the lot. And he said, look, during COVID, there were only 3 rows of cars that were going through the auction block.
Mm-hmm.
He said, now there's 6.
Yeah.
But if you look back there's a whole lot full of cars. And he said, that's where all the bank repos are.
Uh-huh.
He goes, the banks aren't stupid. He goes, if they run them all now, they're not going to get anything for them.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're basically trickling them out. So they'll only put out 12 one week, 12 the next week, rather than putting 48 cars out. They're putting out 12 a week for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
The problem is though, they're getting more and more repos. So now the backlog is getting even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
But these banks can sit on it.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do is they're going to sit on it. They're going to trickle it out.
Yeah.
So that way is to not tank the used car market.
Mm-hmm.
And so what people, from the car people that I've talked to, they've basically been saying, look, hold off for now. If you can.
Yeah.
If you can hold off. Because they think that around winter time, some of these banks can't really just keep sitting on these cars anymore.
Yeah.
So they'll have to trickle out more than they were. Now they're not gonna flood the market, but they're gonna make it's gonna be so that dealers that go to these auctions, they're gonna be able to see that there are more cars there, and so they can do what they used to do. Basically, like they'll let the first couple of guys blow their entire nut on the first 6 cars.
Yep.
And they'll buy the second 6 cars on the cheap because no one's got any money left.
Yeah.
When there were only 5 cars running, you would pay anything to get them because you needed inventory.
Yeah.
Well, now if you see that there's 6 lanes of auction cars running rather than just 2 or 3, that you can wait out the heavy hitters, and some of these other used car lots can buy them on the cheap.
Right.
Now, what that also means is, if you have a savvy car dealer right now, they're going to be willing to deal in a car because they're going to see this trend, and they're going to want to replace the cars that they paid a lot for with cars they can get cheaper right now. So let's say you got a guy, he's got a GMC Yukon on his lot. Let's say he's got an 06 Yukon, and it's got 125,000 miles, and he was trying to sell it for 15. Let's say he bought it for 11.
Yeah.
He could probably go and buy it right now at the auction for 7. So if you go over there and you offer him 12, or even if you offered him 11, he'd probably take it and then go replace it with a $7,000 car
And sell that one for
11 or 12.
Yeah.
But he's gonna, even if he sells it for 11 or 12, he's gonna make $4,000 or $5,000 in that car, even though he made nothing on you.
Yeah.
Because he was never going to be able to sell that other one for 15. You know, so a lot of these used car dealers are going to try and get the cars on their lot that they paid a lot for off their lot now, so that they can replace it with lesser cost inventory.
Now, are used car dealers buying it to do it the same? Like, so a new car dealer, a lot of their inventory is on consignment, or they're financing their inventory.
Most of them are financing.
Yeah, so they're paying for the inventory. They're paying a monthly payment.
Yep.
But if they sell it before that first payment hits, they don't have to pay anything for
Correct.
it. So that's why you get the better deal on the car that's been sitting there for a long, because they just want to get rid of it.
Right, because they're paying interest on it.
Yeah.
At that point.
Now, are used car dealers financing their inventory, or are they paying?
Yeah, they finance it too. So they've got something called a floor plan.
Okay.
And floor plan isn't like where they put the cars. The floor plan is they're able to, they get a set dollar amount that they're allowed to spend. It's basically a credit line, and they can spend X amount of dollars on it, on whatever they want up to that amount.
Yeah.
And that's called their floor plan.
Okay.
But yes, they do pay interest on those cars.
Okay.
So I mean, but with a used car dealer, I mean, their inventory is especially the small used car dealers. They're mostly getting what the big car the new car dealers don't want.
Right.
New car dealers mostly just took whatever they got on trade in, and if it was really nice, they put it out.
Yeah.
Now, during the last 2 years, though, the new car dealers were going to the used car auctions just to pick up inventory because there weren't any new cars to sell. And even now, with the new car manufacturers kind of slow rolling some inventory, because chip manufacturing has come back quite a bit.
Yeah.
And the new car manufacturers haven't been pushing the cars out. A lot of them, and I noticed Toyota's doing this, they're having the customer just order the car online at the dealership, and they're just using the delivery the dealers as a delivery network.
Right.
So they're not even selling it to the dealership anymore. So I think some of these, I think new car buying might be changing completely to almost like a Tesla model.
Yeah.
Where they're not allowed to sell direct. You can't do it. They have to use dealerships as the intermediary.
Yeah.
Tesla got around that somehow, which is interesting because Ford created eFord,
Okay.
which was a separate corporation from Ford, which isn't beholden
To the dealer network?
to the dealer network.
Okay.
And so their plan, and they haven't announced it yet, but their plan might be to sell the electric vehicles direct to the consumer via the new company.
Okay.
And they would still have to sell their internal combustion engine cars through the dealer network.
Yeah.
And there's rumblings about that in the back end of the car world, the automotive world, of what's going to happen with some of these dealerships.
Yeah. Now, is like Rivian, are they selling theirs direct, like Tesla?
Yes, I think they can. Yeah, all these new car manufacturers since Tesla, I think, have been going direct.
Yeah.
But I think that, there's Lucid Air, which is the competitor to Tesla. Rivian with their trucks. Lordstown Motors was supposed to also do trucks, but I think they're going to go under. And Ford with the Lightning.
Yeah.
But who knows how well that's going to go over.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, it'll really depend on if we go into a recession, though, and I think we might. I don't know how bad it'll be.
Yeah.
But I think we're definitely going to see something. Hold on to your cash. You might be able to pick up some nice assets for the long term, cheap. But as far as cars go, I would definitely kind of. I'm going to try. I'm looking for one. Now
You're always looking for a car.
I am.
It's like a hobby of yours.
Listen, my dad didn't pass down many vices, but buying a car every 2 years is like a drug for me. Like I have to do. Like I can't go 2 years, 3 years without buying something like that.
You just lease cars.
I used to,
and yeah,
I used to. And then I leased a whole bunch of Nissans, and then I was tired of not having any equity to trade in with.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to buy used cars from now on. That's what I've done ever since. And I'll trade them in. About year 3, if you do a 5-year loan, at year 3 is generally when your equity
break-even point.
It flips. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'd be able to go in, take the extra 1,000 for my car and put it down on the new one.
Right.
Or the new to me one. But with this one, no. So this one, I'm not going to trade anything in. I'm actually looking to just buy a third car.
Okay.
Because specifically, I want one with a third row. So I was looking at like the '06 Yukon Denali.
Okay.
So '06 was before they went to displacement on demand with the GMs, and those like, I know it doesn't happen to all of them, but the displacement on demand can really grenade an engine.
Is there a way to disable that?
There is that you can do that. You have to get it done through a tune, I believe.
Okay.
But the Caprice cop cars had it as well. Which, by the way, if you can find a Caprice cop car with the 6.2 liter engine, I believe.
Oh yeah,
I think it's got a Corvette engine.
Well, or you can find what was it, the
Chevy SS?
The SS.
Yeah. The SS was it was the
civilian
version,
which was just had a lot more like creature comforts.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you can find an SS, I highly recommend you get it.
Yeah. That's going to be a collector car one day.
Well, you want to know what's surprising? The predecessor to that was the Pontiac G8 GTP.
Yep.
And you could get that in manual, but that had the Corvette engine in it. And they put it out right before they killed off Pontiac.
Yeah.
But man, those things now, if you find them, they're expensive. Like they ended up being collector's cars.
Yeah.
But the SS, you can still get those right now, fairly inexpensive.
Yeah.
But man, if you can find one in great shape, and you want the wolf in sheep's clothing, get that one because it looks like a Malibu.
Oh yeah.
And then the dude blows your doors off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the when Pontiac came out with the GTO, the one
with the Chevy Cavalier, the 2-door Cavalier.
Yeah, it was a Holden Monaro. Yeah. The thing is though, people criticize that car because it didn't look, but the original Pontiac GTO was not. I mean, it was kind of like your factory sleeper.
Yeah, but it looked like it looked like a Cobalt. It was either Cobalt or whatever small Chevy was putting out.
Yeah,
it was like, wow, you literally just stuffed a V8 under that hood and rebadged it as a Pontiac. But God, it looked like crap. Like that was, if you were gonna bring back the GTO moniker, that was not the car to do it on. It looked like a little Acura RSX.
Yeah, I like the way that that Chrysler did it with the Challenger. An old Challenger and a new Challenger. Or was it? No. Yeah, Challenger or Charger?
Charger's the 4-door. Challenger's
2-door. Yeah. The new Challenger parked next to a original Challenger, very similar proportions. Looked, I mean, from a distance, if you didn't know it, you could almost not tell them apart.
Yeah,
you know. Of course, once you got close, you looked at the interior of one versus, you'd see it. But they did a really good job. That was my favorite of those because Ford did it with a Mustang. Chevrolet did it with a Camaro. Like they kind of went back to the original versions of them, and like I thought Dodge did it the best.
It's unfortunate what's happened with Dodge and Chrysler right now, because I've sat in one recently, it's a nice looking interior.
Oh yeah.
With the Charger, the 300, the Rango right now.
Yeah.
They're nice on the inside. The problem is that, from what I understand, the electric systems on them are just made like garbage. Like you just have like undergauged or overgauged wire, meaning the wire's too small.
Yeah. Well, when I was looking at trucks, I thought of all of them, the Ram had the nicest interior.
Yeah.
Because it was always the Fords were my least favorite. The Ram was my, I like the Ram. Toyota, of course, is a Toyota. I really like the way, not so much the current body style, but the one previous of the Silverado, the exterior of the Chevy was the nicest looking.
The current one looks like fucking Frankenstein.
What's up with it? Now, I did see a brand new Yukon versus Suburban, and the Yukon looks really nice.
The Suburban looks like Frankenstein.
Yeah,
I don't know what they did with the front ends of those things.
But see, with those, that is a vehicle that whenever Chevrolet redoes a Suburban, I immediately hate the new version, and the one previous becomes my favorite. So when the 2015s and up came out, I hated it, and I liked the 05 to 14.
They swapped it in 07.
Yeah. Okay.
07 to 14.
Yeah.
The 06 for me was still my favorite, though.
But that is my overall favorite. That was the nicest looking one.
That they did a beautiful job with the exterior design on that. The interior is whatever.
Well, it's typical GM crap interior.
Yeah, but you can swap out that head unit for a nice nav unit touchscreen.
Oh yeah. Well, because it's so big, it's a double din, so you've got a nice area to.
That's why I'm looking for one.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I've liked it for so long, and now it's like, okay, you can get them pretty cheap.
Yeah, and I really don't like car interiors that are dominated by screens. I still like traditional switchgear. I like to be able to turn the air, so in my Fusion, I can't change a lot of the climate control stuff. I have to do through the screen.
Right.
I'd rather have buttons. I want to be able to do that without looking at it.
Yep.
And I hate the voice stuff. It never works the right way.
I'm going to shock you here. When the Equinox, the Android Auto, the voice recognition on the thing is amazing. Like I can literally sit in that thing. Once it's connected to my phone, I'll hit the little voice button, and I'll just say, navigate to Donut Shack.
And it does it.
And it just does it.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's not, like, I don't have to say, like, navigate. Where would you like to navigate to?
Yeah.
Donut Shack at 8:50, whatever. You just say navigate to Donut Shack. It's crazy how
That's
good
cool.
it is.
Yeah.
Like, that Android Auto thing, and from what I understand, the Apple CarPlay works the same way with it. It's crazy, man.
And then you've got Audi's coming out this thing where you can like do hand signals to make it. Like I'm not signing to my car. You know what hand signal I'm going to give it?
Right. They better know what that middle finger means real quick.
Give you half the peace sign. You better figure it the F out.
It better know where I want to navigate to with that symbol.
Mostly what I tell my car when it starts talking to me is shut up. I'm sorry. Shut up. I'm sorry. Shut the F up. I didn't get that.
I hate it in my wife's car. Yeah. Like you've got to say specific things, and not with I swear to God, with this Android Auto, you basically get in the ballpark. Yeah. It knows what you want. I was like, this is fantastic.
Because when we had the Town and Country, you couldn't program you couldn't connect via Bluetooth without talking to it, and it would start going. It would say one of the following options. Like,
oh, I hate that.
Connect new phone, and you have to listen to the entire thing.
Yep.
You couldn't just tell it to connect new phone.
My old Acura RL did the same thing. Yeah. It drove me nuts. Yeah. It drove me nuts every time. I just wouldn't use it anymore.
Yeah. It's like, can I just push a button and do this? Right. I know exactly what I want it to do.
Right.
So.
Well, where did we start? We started with gas prices.
Then ended up with cars. Related.
Cars, yeah. That is related.
Yeah.
Yes. Very nice. Ended up probably where we wanted to end up anyway.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, we could just turn this into a car show.
Well, it's funny because I have this whole page of interesting factoids about gasoline prices and we didn't use any of it.
You got anything you want to just put out there?
Let's see. Not really.
No? All right, then. Well, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. please like, subscribe, comment, share. And as Mike said, shamash that like button.
Yep. That's what the kids are saying.
I guess so. Oh man, I don't even know if the people listen on a podcast, I don't think there's a like button.
Maybe you have to say smash like button. I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Right? Repeat.
Yeah.
Enhance.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, share. Go to the website drivewaybeerspodcast.com and click on that the private internet access link. Get your private internet access deal, $79 through 39 months, so 3 years, 3 months. Get yourself protected online, and we'll see you next time.